A band that needs no introduction, Guns N' Roses, of course. More Guns N' Roses, as Biggie would say, have just dropped their anniversary album. And of course, it's an album on the first side and an EP, and also a few live events on the other side, of course, which is pretty nice. But of course, let me get into the background history of Guns N' Roses. Now, of course, Guns N' Roses was originally Hollywood Roses with Axl Rose until he broke up with them before the form Guns N' Roses, which of course had a album called Appetite Appetite of Destruction, Appetite for Destruction, shit, I cannot read, which of course got with Gavin Records, which I think they were in the same record company as Nirvana, but ironically, Nirvana did not want to tour with them, sadly. But of course, they had their song "Welcome to the Jungle," which ironically enough was not their first number one, but I'll get into that. Of course, Welcome to the Jungle, which skyrocketed them into fame, and some people say that they, of course, killed off the whole glam rock narrative or glam rock bands, but I think Nirvana mostly did that, to tell you the truth. But yeah, let's get down to the track listing. So you have the classic Welcome to the Jungle, one of the most critically successful and praised songs that ever came out, which of course I kind of think pale in comparison to the other tracks on here, but that's just me. You have channels like VH1, which named it the second greatest heavy rock or hard rock song ever, and the second greatest metal song ever. I don't know how you can be the two, since metal is much more heavier, but whatever. Blazer called it the greatest song about LA, which they have a lot of songs about LA, including Paradise City, which of course is on here, which is about LA. They have moved to the city, which is pretty much about moving to LA and getting your legs stretched out. And when they're not talking about LA, they're mostly talking about drugs, especially on the first track, which you had Mr. Brownstone, which is about heroin. And of course, many people have said that Mr. Brownstone's, the guitar in it is just a replay or a retread of Walk This Way by, of course, Aerosmith, and they even sample Aerosmith on the song Mama Ken. So yeah, it's not like they haven't been hearing Aerosmith. They're one of their biggest influences. Or the song Night Train, which is literally named after a drink they used to love, which they used to down, and they reference being loaded like a train, which was pretty funny. And maybe another reference to Aerosmith as they pronounce aeroplane, which usually that's like the old pronunciation. Usually people don't really use it that much anymore. And when they're not talking about drugs, they're talking about chicks dedicating like 6 songs to women, like My Michelle, which was dedicated to a female who wanted a song about her, but all they could muster up is that her father pretty much abused her, sadly, and her mother died of heroin overdose. You have Sweet Child of Mine, which was a joke track that catapulted them to fame, and I think was their first number one. Rocking Queen, which of course is another track about a female. And there is some even male references, which is Moved to the City on the second disc, have a reference to Pretty Boys, which could be a reference to California, Hotel California, or it could be a reference to the whole glam rock movement that, of course, was still beating back then. Now you have some of the more crazier tracks like You're Crazy, Anything Goes, and also a song like I Used to Love Her. And this is not a Nas song. This is a track about killing your girlfriend. So more of a Eminem pre-2000s Kim version. And of course, You have tracks that's focused on the band's more sensitive side, which these tracks catapulted them to fame. Also, Sweet Child of Mine was their first number one. Also, you have Patience, which is a 5 minute ode to just loving yourself and keeping calm and cool and focused, of course. Now you have tracks on the albums which doesn't really make that much sense. Like of course the track Mamakin where he says smoking tea. How the hell do you smoke tea? Like that's a very strange thing to do. You have a track like Shadow of Your Love, which of course sounds like the Phantom of the Opera with the background vocals doing this spooky little sound that's kind of a little bit mind numbing. All right, welcome to this jungle. On the second disc, of course, have the famous scream, except it sounds like he's gargling water when he fucking screams. Kind of a little bit odd. But you know what? You have a track like You're Crazy, the acoustic version, which I like better than the original version because it brings something new to the album. Of course, the last tracks off the disc 2 seem like more of a Nirvana live in New York acoustic version to me, like to tell you the truth. And then you have pieces such as Knocking on Heaven's Door, which of course was a cover by Bob Dylan, which I kind of like better versions than this one that sounded more acoustic and natural. And of course, A Whole Lot of, which is a cover of AC/DC, as I remember. Except, you know, I would much rather them cover other tracks that's more rocking by AC/DC, but that's just me. You have a shout out to Sweet 16 on, of course, Nice Boys, which, you know, Chuck Berry, he wasn't such a nice guy. Reckless Life is one of the oldest tracks that, of course, Guns N' Roses ever recorded, dating back to like 81 or 82 when they were called the Hollywood Roses and very much struggling. And then you have much more stranger things that kind of ruin the tracks for me. Like on the second disc, you have, of course, Get Me, which I love the isolated vocals that says, they won't judge me. But on the live version, they couldn't really duplicate it like I wanted to. Of course, you have Night Train, which, of course, have a tambourine on the live one. I thought that was pretty cool. And I don't know if Axel forgot the lyrics, but on of course City, on the 86 version in disc 2, you of course have Captain America now on a farm instead of messing with the Joker or like the original one for some reason. Thinking About You is pretty cool since it was written by Izzy, you know. On Rocking Queen, of course, I love the orgasm effects between the middle of the song. Thought that was pretty nice. Anything Goes solo was pretty awesome. Of course, the harmonica and Anything Goes was pretty solid. So I have nothing really to say about the rest of this. This was 2 hours, and of course I took breaks and everything. Overall, I feel that the live versions could have needed more instrumentals, like of course better tracks. If you're going to have me stay for at least a few minutes when it comes to like these tracks, please put November Rain on here, or fucking something interesting, like lyrically interesting, like One in a Million or something like that. Of course, some of these tracks I already kind of feel lukewarm on, like Shadow of Your Love. I did not want to hear two versions of this, the studio and the live version. Sounds fucking same to me. But yeah, I'm just going to end it like this. The first album, solid. The second track with the EPs, and of course the live songs kind of dampen the whole experience. But I'm gonna give it a 7. Please like, subscribe, share this video. And how did you feel about Guns N' Roses' new release? And I did the 2 hour version. I did not want to do the 4 hour version because I didn't really have enough time. All right, I'm out, guys.